Welcome to my channel. This video is about how time freezes at light speed and you can't get there. Enjoy.
Time relativity theory suggestion of time within the fourth dimension is put to the test as an observation theory or ridiculous fact. Why it is physically impossible for an object with mass to reach the speed of light. It would require infinite energy, and from the perspective of an outside observer, your time would effectively stop. Imagine Einstein's gravity wells is like crawling out of a steep hole. 3. Kinematic versus gravitational dilation. It is useful to contrast these two types of dilation to see how they fit into the broader theory of relativity, why it isn't an illusion. We should understand that it's the Higgs field that gives all particles their mass. As such, we as humans are essentially masses. Given the Higgs boson give us mass. Think like as humans we breathe in air or oxygen, which in turn our lungs filter that oxygen like a radiator and distribute it throughout our bodies, allowing us to live. Referring this with our Einsteinian time dilation, any change on our life-abiding human experience for life would fail. Now, Einstein's clocks. A common misunderstanding is that time dilation is merely an optical illusion or a technical error with clocks. However, it is a physical reality. For instance, muons, subatomic particles created in the upper atmosphere, have a half-life so short that they should decay long before reaching the Earth's surface. Yet because they are moving at nearly the speed of light, their internal clocks tick so slowly from our perspective that they live long enough to be detected on the ground. Protection in space, the hard shell. In scientific terms, space is an incredibly hostile environment. Humans are not protected by a shell from deities, but we do use advanced engineering to protect ourselves from the lethal conditions of the vacuum of space, the spacecraft hull. When astronauts travel, they are inside a pressurized, hardened shell. This shell protects them from vacuum. The lack of air pressure would cause human tissues to swell and bodily fluids to boil. Radiation. High-energy particles from the sun and deep space can damage DNA. The hull, and sometimes specialized shielding materials like polyethylene, acts as a barrier. Micrometeoroids, even tiny specks of dust traveling at orbital speeds, thousands of miles per hour, have the force of a bullet. The spacecraft's outer layers, often including Whipple shields, are designed to shatter or deflect these impacts. The spacesuit. When astronauts leave the vehicle, the spacesuit becomes their personal hard shell. It provides an independent atmosphere, thermal regulation, to handle the extreme temperature swings between sunlight and shadow, and protection from radiation and small impacts. 2. Addressing space deities. From the perspective of physics and modern astronomy, there is no evidence of entities or deities residing in space. The challenges of space are entirely physical and environmental, entropy and physics. The dangers in space are natural consequences of physics, gravity, radiation, vacuum, and momentum. The hardshell metaphor. While the hull of a ship is a physical shield against physical dangers, it cannot protect against anything that exists outside the laws of nature. If you are suggesting that deities exist as a form of non-physical threat, science does not have a framework to measure or interact with them, as it only deals with phenomena that can be observed, measured, and tested. Relativity theory suggestion of time within the fourth dimension is put to the test as an observation theory or ridiculous fact. Why it is physically impossible for an object with mass to reach the speed of light. It would require infinite energy, and from the perspective of an outside observer, your time would effectively stop. Think like as humans we breathe in air or oxygen, which in turn our lungs filter that oxygen like a radiator and distribute it throughout our bodies, allowing us to live. We should understand that it's the Higgs field that gives all particles their mass. Now, Einstein's clocks. However, it is a physical reality. The hard shell of physics explains what we observe, time, motion, and survival in space, without illusion.
Einstein created a time travel theory with no position, coordinates. Believing in time travel, you don't need to know where you are going to visit at in the past or the future. Traveling faster than light, you travel into the future. In a space you don't age, your body mechanisms slow down to zero. To travel into the vast, you have to travel at the speed of light straight forwards, strictly at light speed. You travel long enough, you travel into the past. But still, where to and when? The ship is his key component. The ship does the work. But in 1925, Erwin Hupke discovered universe expansion. The universe no longer had a speed limit. In fact, the universe was expanding faster than light. What does this do to Einstein's time travel? Sometimes things are maintained in physics that simply aren't true. They are called Hawk. I think this is one of them. Another is about gravity. Gravity has no real explanation, yet physicists won't agree that gravity is a massless void particle. Einstein asserted gravity was a geodesic curvature of space, meaning the planet Earth curved the space, and free fall was the straightest path in falling back to Earth. Again, expanse laid the framework for not only expanding space, but straightening the Einstein infinite acceleration gravity wells. It is space expansion that makes the planet's orbit in an almost but close straightened alignment from our sun. Einstein also developed more insight to other experimental and through experiments. Light curves. It follows the dips and curves of the space grid surface. It also is an entity that the space grid light us coupled to it that allows light to travel faster than kite with the grid expanse which us faster than light. It's like a boat traveling in a river. The river coordinates the boat's speed because the river is traveling faster than the boat can using its motors, so it travels faster. Same with light communication signals. Coupled to the grid, as Einstein showed in Space Curve, light travels with the speed of the grid it is coupled to, so we discover physics is changing, and how physics doesn't tell the whole story, but if it fits, it's good. These are just some of the tell stories in physics Rodney Kawecki has researched and can be found in his books he has published. Einstein's infinite mass limitation is based on the ability to travel light speed at a time when such thoughts were impossible, but physics tell that side of the story. Post log in Open App, Physics and History at Phys in History. Nikola Tesla on Einstein's theory of relativity. I hold that space cannot be curved, for the simple reason that it can have no properties. It might as well be said that God has properties. He has not, but only attributes, and these are of our own making. Of properties we can only speak when dealing with matter filling the space. To say that in the presence of large bodies space becomes curved is equivalent to stating that something can act upon nothing. I, for one, refuse to subscribe to such a view. Physics in History on X. Nikola Tesla on Einstein's theory of relativity. I hold that space cannot be curved for the simple reason that it can have no properties. It might as well be said that God has properties. He has not, but only attributes, and these are of our own making.